the Asian Development Bank has called on ASEAN countries to work.
So let's take a look at the ASEAN member countries. With large young pools of labor and rich natural resources,
the Association of Southeast Asian Nations is a regional organization in Southeast Asia that is gaining in importance due to its economic development, regional integration, geopolitical relevance, and collaboration on a number of issues. Significance in world politics. Due to its strategic position in the Pacific Ocean and wealth of natural resources, Southeast Asia is one of the most sought-after areas in the world. Its closeness to China, India, South Korea, Japan, and other Asian economic powerhouses is a major factor in its present value. Because of its strategic position, the area is now the world's fourth largest exporter, responsible for around 7% of worldwide exports. There are a plethora of export processing zones in the area, facilitating the unhindered movement of commodities and the elimination of trade barriers. The South China Sea is a key international shipping lane and the primary access point for the Association of Southeast Asian Nations to its most important economic partner, China. However, it is also one of the main reasons why ASEAN and China have such tense ties, since ASEAN member nations have not yet settled on a unified response to China's claims. The organization has been unable to publish a common statement on the matter. The situation has deteriorated since Beijing is so determined to hold global discussions. Tensions between the world's two largest economies, China and the United States, in the South China Sea, have thrust ASEAN into the worldwide limelight. The question of what to do next in light of this problem is being closely examined. In order to balance off China's aggression and the United States' unreliability in the area, ASEAN is aggressively seeking out additional friends, such as India and Australia. Southeast Asia's strategic position guarantees that the region will always be a magnet for commerce, growth, and, sadly, conflict, diversity. ASEAN is a fairly varied group. Brunei, Laos, and Cambodia have among the lowest GDPs in Asia, whereas Indonesia generates 40% of the region's GDP and is the sole ASEAN member in G20. The GDP per capita in Singapore is more than 12 times that of Laos and Vietnam, 15 times that of Cambodia, and more than 20 times that of Myanmar. The service sector accounts for the bulk of ASEAN's gross domestic product, followed by manufacturing and agriculture. Singapore, the Philippines, and Thailand all rely heavily on the service sector for their economies, whereas Brunei's oil business is the main engine of its economy, accounting for more than 60% of GDP. More than 20% of both Myanmar and Cambodia's gross domestic product is based on agricultural activity. It's also worth noting that a large percentage of Indonesians and Filipinos depend on agriculture for their livelihood. However, this may be due to the inefficient and archaic agricultural techniques used in these nations, and not to their overall GDP. Electronics, clothing, medical supplies, and agricultural goods are just some of the many items that ASEAN exports to countries like China, India, and the United States. Language, culture, and religion all contribute to the group's wide variety. There are over 1,000 languages in use in the ASEAN region, with each country having between 1 and 4 official languages. English is the sole official language, despite the fact that many people in the area speak other languages. With 24 languages in use, the European Union (EU) is a regional powerhouse that is second to none. Sustainable efforts should be made to preserve the region's indigenous languages, and the diverse linguistic ecology of ASEAN should be celebrated. Each country has its own distinct religion. Moreover, 80% of Filipinos are Roman Catholic, whereas Buddhists make up the majority in Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, and Thailand, and most Vietnamese adhere to traditional beliefs. The fact that ASEAN is not a single market means that there are many different sectors in which investors might find profitable returns. But this might also be the reason why regional integration, collaboration, and cooperation have been so difficult to achieve. Cultures from all over the world come together in ASEAN, and the association's goal is to showcase this cultural diversity via a unified artistic expression. The greatest method to respect the history of the area may not be to try to blend all of the country's traditions into one. Emerging market. Since 1970, ASEAN's middle class has grown faster than the world average. Since 2000, severe poverty has declined rapidly throughout ASEAN, especially in Vietnam. In 2015, 14% of the population lived below the severe poverty level, down from 47% in 1990. Due to investment outflow and robust commerce, the area is suffering this. Opening CNOV, which is Cambodia, Myanmar, Laos, and Vietnam to trade, boosted the region's economy and decreased poverty. Consuming families earning above $7,500 are predicted to increase. McKinsey predicts 125 million consuming households by 2025, roughly twice the amount in 2010. Regional inequality persists. The Gini coefficient ranged from 0.31 to 0.46 in 2017, indicating medium inequality. The wealthiest countries in the area are most affected by inequality, led by Singapore. While the middle class is growing, individuals living below the severe poverty level are becoming poorer and the super-affluent are benefiting most from economic growth. Cambodia and Philippines have lower Gini ratios between 2005 and 2016. Even if no one is becoming poor, those at the top of the economic class are growing faster than those below the poverty line or in the lower middle class. Regional and megacity disparity is narrowing. The globe is moving to cities, particularly megacities, which boosts economies. Regional cities in ASEAN are empowered by government decentralization and a burgeoning middle class. East Kalimantan, as Indonesia's capital, and Clark Green City in the Philippines are meant to distract business focus from Jakarta and Manila megacities. Malaysia established Putrajaya as its administrative capital in 2003. Post-creation investment in Putrajaya included offices, entertainment, and housing. Thailand plans to relocate certain government functions from Bangkok to boost growth beyond the city. Emerging markets are found throughout ASEAN, since most countries encourage capital mobility. Nearly 800 special economic zones, often outside major cities, have simplified tax regulations and encourage free trade, incentives, and export processing zones to attract enterprises and investments. Money pouring in the area is expected to be scattered among minor cities, and new wave cities will continue to develop, decentralizing economic operations in the capital and megacities. Despite being among the world's most populous cities, Jakarta, Manila, and Bangkok have moderate population growth and stagnant congestion due to purposeful effort. ASEAN should capitalize on these growing markets and empower them to provide investors more alternatives, promote local goods, and enhance regional economic activity to become an economic power. Future of ASEAN. At the moment, ASEAN relies significantly on China for trade and the EU for investments. It should be self-sufficient and permit greater economic activity in the area, neither of which are difficult to do, given that ASEAN has repeatedly shown its ability to provide economic policies that are felt across the region. It suffered just a temporary setback during both the Asian economic crisis of 1997 and the global economic crisis of 2008, both of which it ultimately survived. The area has been growing steadily for over a decade and has one of the youngest populations in the world. However, ASEAN is merely a prospective global powerhouse if its resources are not fully harnessed, particularly among NATO countries. The area has been concentrating on needs that China has been unable to provide. To address the needs of its expanding population, ASEAN should shift to greater reliance on domestic production. The 10 member countries should work more closely together to pool their abundant resources, manpower, and talent, and connect them with the expanding requirements of the area. To address the social, geographical, and political problems that beset the area, ASEAN should likewise work for institutional unity, establishing an atmosphere of oneness. Instead of hoping the issue goes away on its own, it should take a more proactive approach to fixing it. The Association of Southeast Asian Nations should be quite pleased with its accomplishments since its foundation, and other areas throughout the globe, especially those including developing nations, should aim to model their economic agenda and policies after ASEAN's. However, it shouldn't sit on its hands, particularly now that all eyes are on the area due to its significance in the US-China trade conflict. The 10 states also need to make integration a top priority, as well as create legislation and regulations that will allow them to function as a single entity, especially when it comes to sociopolitical concerns. Instead of averting a possible internal multinational disagreement, inaction and avoidance further polarize the area. It is conceivable for ASEAN to realize its full potential and ensure its own future, but the time to do so is now. ASEAN's rise from a regional organization to a quiet powerhouse is a credit to its diplomacy, economic integration, and good governance. In a world that rewards the loud and bombastic, ASEAN's quiet rise shows that unity, discussion, and consistent devotion to basic ideals are strong. As the area grows in strength, the globe is discovering that sometimes the most powerful nations speak quietly yet have a big effect. This was all about today. I hope you liked this video. Make sure to like and subscribe to our channel